Welcome to Techlandia, a podcast about and for the technology industry, a place to learn, connect, and engage with leaders and thinkers involved in the technology industry. You can check us out at techoregon.org, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Welcome to Techlandia, podcast about technology, about our community, and about all the great things happening in Oregon and Southwest Washington. I'm super excited today to have Stephanie Hooper, who is the president and CEO of Age Plus, join us in the studio. I had the pleasure of meeting Stephanie and having coffee with her, and she just does some amazing and extraordinary work. Her dedication to this community is endless, and I'm just really excited to share all the stuff that she's doing with our audience. And Stephanie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate you having me.
So, Age Plus, tell us a little bit about it.
Well, we're a fairly young organization, but mighty. Age Plus is the go-to nonprofit organization that advocates for older adults and are experts in the field of aging in Oregon. We are really in tune with the needs and the opportunities that older adults face, and we bring that to our programs and to the community at large.
Wow. So how did you get involved in that? What drew you to be the president and CEO of Age Plus?
Well, I really grew with the organization. I started out, as a deputy director and with a very planful succession plan that we're really proud of from our founder, and just took over as CEO over the summer. But we were really stood up because of our changing demographics. We exist because people are living longer, healthier, and Oregonians are the fastest growing population in our state. So I'm never bored. There's those implications reach so many different facets of our lives, both personally and professionally. So I, um, I feel strongly that older adults need to be valued in our world, not isolated or set aside, and just see all the opportunities we have to really embrace this changing demographic.
Well, as you and I have talked, it's a shared passion that we have. I see our seniors and our aging population as a national treasure. It's a treasure trove of wisdom and experience, and I think that as a society we don't take advantage of it. You and I've had this conversation. I believe they're a national treasure. So what are we doing to create a more age integrated society?
Well, we're doing some things, but we need to do a lot more. We've got a lot to do and a lot of opportunity. I think while no one disagrees that we need to do something, there hasn't been as much momentum and intention around making this shift a priority. But we have an opportunity right now to start planning and start adjusting our systems so that we aren't in a crisis later on. Um, and Go ahead.
But I'm just curious how we do that with a society that values youth so much. Like, how do we get people to understand and value?
Well, I
Uh,
think,
I
yep. I think first, we need to pause and really examine ageism. Ageism seems to be the last acceptable ism in our world. And people joke about it and are passive about it, but it's actually very harmful. And, I think one of the most harmful examples was the COVID vaccine rollout, where you had a very non-age friendly system dispersing and organizing life-saving vaccines to the population most vulnerable. And but then there's little things like, jokey, crappy birthday cards that you know, just make fun of, the not so great things about aging, instead of emphasizing and appreciating the things that are, so valuable about growing older. I turned 50 last year, and I feel like this is the best stage of my life so far. And sure, there comes to, physical declines, but there are so many other opportunities that are wonderful about aging.
Well, I can share with you a personal story. I was and this and you're so right. But I was working for a company as their chief operating officer, and it was a very young company, and we were doing our benefits rollout. And one of the young developers raised their hand and asked the question in a large group of people, are our medical rates going to go up because we hired Tim? Because it changed their demographics. And it was a joke.
Wow. Yeah.
And the person was the person rolling out the benefits was now this was a company that had all of the banners up. We accept everybody. We make no, and they were very committed to all of those things, all those ageisms. But then everybody laughed about at my expense in the room
Well,
because they didn't think about it.
I wonder if anybody would have laughed if a pregnant woman was on staff and someone said, "Are our rates gonna go up because she's having a baby?"
Right.
I mean, wow, that's
Right. Yeah.
unfortunate.
So I totally get it. And I'm with you because I turned 60 last Friday.
Oh,
And well, thank you. And I am in the best health that I've ever been in. I am stronger than I was. In fact, I did something very bold. I took a picture a year ago on my 59th birthday, and then I posted a picture side by side at 60. And it's night and day. And I am stronger. I work out 3 days a week. I've been doing it for a year, and I feel stronger and better than I've ever felt. And I am so looking forward to this next decades and the ones beyond, and to continue to be able to contribute. And so I do think there's some of it's a mindset, but I just refuse to accept the norm.
well, you're a champion, and, what we have found at Age Plus is, it really does come from our own embedded ageism, our own ageist biases. And so we're actually launching a program for leaders. It's a leadership exchange on ageism where, we have a safe environment of dialogue among peers, leaders, decision makers, policy people that can influence change. And we really examine our own self bias, our organization's bias, and our system bias, and then provide tools and practice how to interrupt those things. It's just sometimes when you hear things like what you heard in that meeting, you don't have the comeback right away that you wish you had, and so we
Right.
right, and so the company or the table just goes silent, and then there's awkwardness or people just laugh out of nervousness. But we really practice how to interrupt those things and address them in a kind way, not in an adversarial way.
Oh
um,
no, I fired him. No,
oh,
I'm kidding. I did.
well,
He actually
uh,
ended up becoming a very good friend, and I took it as an opportunity to. And I'll be honest, the person facilitating the meeting took it as an opportunity to teach.
yeah, it is they all are teachable moments. And but we need practice and we need to be intentional.
Right.
So,
I think something that's really interesting is we keep hearing about this demographic shift or the cliff, where in less than 7 years from we're away from having just as many people 65 plus as 19 and under. What are some of the system levels and direct service efforts that Age Plus has underway to address this shift? And is that true?
it's true.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, we are in big time denial as a state, as a city, as a region.
Now, is that Oregon or is that the US?
That is Oregon, and actually, Oregon is the oldest state on the West Coast, and the only state on the West Coast that does has not started to plan for this effort. So California has a multi-sector plan for aging that they started before the pandemic. It actually, by that process, ushered them through the pandemic more successfully because they had already started to convene across sector and break down silos. And so when the pandemic hit, the collaboration was accelerated. Washington is starting a multi-sector plan for Oregon. For Washington. But in Oregon, we're still trying to move the needle. We're still trying to overcome and make it a priority. And so, I just really appreciate this opportunity to talk about it. And that's our main systems work is a multi-sector plan for aging. We're calling it Shared Future Oregon. And it's because it's really about all of our shared future. It is not just a plan for older adults. It is a plan for those of us that are caregivers, those that are aging, those that will be the future old, but also about, younger people that will benefit from having a more engaged older society with them in mentorship or childcare opportunities that we're really overlooking and dismissing right now. So we've been doing engagement, really in-depth community engagement the last, 4 or 5 years. And what's risen to the top are some key focus areas that would make the framework of a multi-sector plan. And that, you wouldn't be surprised to hear it's housing, it's overall health, education, workforce development, um, economic vitality. These are all really bold areas that we need to then develop some key strategies to move the needle. And the end result is that we have more of an aging lens to our systems, to our workplaces, to our families that's more inclusive than exclusive and isolating of older adults.
Yeah. Well, it sounds
That,
simple, but
that's all.
that's all. It really does, though. It really does. Like somebody has to put a stake in the ground that age, our older population is a national treasure, and that they have value. We have this tar pit mentality that we send them off to somewhere and that we don't want to. It's blowing to me that we don't have a plan, because the plan is for everyone. Because I don't know anybody who isn't getting older.
This issue
So
is affecting everyone. How
ev-
all
ev-
our peers that are caring for older parents or aunts and uncles or neighbors. Our family, our nuclear family too, is not the same as it used to be, and so we have to develop more community based, neighborhood based, chosen family based systems of support to really thrive as we all get older and to be able to still give back. Everybody wants to have purpose. Everybody can have purpose, even if it's just picking up the phone to check on another friend for a friendly chat. Uh, you know, but what we need is some intentionality and to recognize that this shift is is really at the core of many other issues, like our homelessness issue, like our addiction issues, our housing challenges. I mean, older adults are the fastest growing population to experience homelessness for the first time, to experience anxiety and depression and substance use disorder, and to not be able to afford suitable housing. And so, ma- making the threading that needle that this really does affect all of us, it's already happening. And if we work on these solutions, it's good for everyone.
Well, I think it was important to have you on the show because I think technology will have will play a big part in it. I know that there were people doing a lot of work on safe homes and communication and I deal with it. I am in that, I think they used to call it the 40/70, and now I think it's the 60/80, where I have a mother who's 84 years old and she still lives independent. She still is takes care of herself. She does need a little extra help. And that's where my brother and my sister and I all chip in and our spouses so that she can continue because I'm absolutely convinced the longer they can live independent, the healthier and the better they are, and the more they feel, uh, you know, a, they feel I know her living in her own apartment and having her own things and feeling that independence is very important to the longevity of her and the healthiness that she has.
It really
And
is.
so but we have to support that. And you know, we're very blessed in the apartment building that she lives in. She's since sold her house. She had a big, beautiful home, but it was just too much for her. And now she's in a smaller apartment that she loves, and we're very blessed because the apartment manager, the company that runs it, are very sensitive
Mhm.
to her needs. And I mean, they even did something like they came in and she had stacked washer and dryer, and they're like, and my mother's very small, and they were like, "Oh, you can't, no." And they brought came in and unstacked the washer and dryer for her so she could reach them
Oh
because
my
they
gosh.
just saw they no they the maintenance guy was doing something and he saw her on a step stool trying to turn on the dryer,
Oh no.
and he's like, no, that's dangerous. We're going to get this taken care of for you. So it's little things like that, just
Yeah.
that sensitivity, right? For young people the stack wash is fine, but for an 85-year-old woman or 84-year-old woman, it's just that active, that simple, it starts that simply.
Well, and you can't see me, but I'm short, and those it doesn't matter what age I am, right?
Right.
So, in
Yeah.
fact, we are also housing developers for older adults in rural areas, and in our units, we have put the all-in-one units that are both
Wow.
washer and dryer. Because imagine carrying your laundry down the hall to a laundry room, um, or having to reach, like your mom
Mhm.
does. So there are ways and resources out there that if we're intentional and we see it, then the adjustments aren't that hard.
Did you have any experience with that? Because you make it sound so simple, and I know, like it's not simple, and
Wow.
there are, but are there? Have you had any experience with like daycares that integrate senior?
Have
Back in
been
the day,
Yeah,
I got exposed to that, and the outcomes were incredible for both for the
I
kids and
think
for
yep, there is so much potential with that model. And there are partners that we're having those kinds of discussions to elevate, a pilot that and but that's the kind of work, those are the kind of strategies that go right into a multi-sector plan, that so that everyone benefits from them and we bring all the best practices that already exist to the table, so we're not recreating the wheel.
yep.
And so that's where the intention comes, right? So uh I there are other intentional examples that aren't about your living situation, but maybe your workplace are, What if you provide everybody with larger monitors and more comfortable chairs and cork floors? I mean, those types of best practices for a workplace help everyone's productivity, and they are age inclusive. Uh, I can't read my laptop without my glasses. I have two extra monitors. So it's about anybody that might have a sight issue, not necessarily that they're older.
What are some of the things that Age Plus is doing to change that mindset and to change so that people see older adults as assets? What do you have some programs? Is there some
Yeah.
education? Are you going into companies?
We have been doing, education on ageism and webinars and that kind of thing for a while. And the leadership exchange on ageism, it will be one of our most formal methods of really starting to interrupt ageism. Because by working with decision makers, once you see it, you can't unsee it, and it becomes more natural. And that's what we need is we need a culture shift, and that will happen, incrementally, but I think it can be accelerated when leaders and decision makers are seeing it and implementing it for, their spheres of influence, whether it's your family or your neighborhood or your workplace. So that's one thing. Definitely the Shared Future Oregon initiative to create a multi-sector plan for aging is our biggest advocacy effort. And, we welcome stakeholders across sectors to join us in that work. We don't presume to know it all, but we are determined to bring folks to the table and be the convener to nurture that the development of this plan. So, because if we don't have a plan, nothing's going to change. And then on a community level, we are building housing for low income older adults in rural areas, proving an innovative modular approach to really accelerate the production of housing that is built with universal design. And all of the units for the same price, same construction cost, are fully accessible, and that's what we need more of. We have a huge deficit of accessible, affordable housing for people at all stages, all ages. And I mean, you could be just recovering from a knee injury and still need to have a walker or crutches fit through the doorway. Um,
Right.
so it's good what if by implementing and demonstrating these best practices in universal design, we're really making it um, streamlined for everyone. And then we also have a community based program called Circles of Care, where we match older adults with volunteers across the generations, for that little bit of help, like with that your mom might need. Maybe she, um, needs a ride to the grocery store or would like just some company during the day. One of our Ageless Award winners, honorees, is from Roseburg this year. She's 102, and she is continues to teach swim lessons at the YMCA to babies and toddlers. And she has built the network of friends around her, and somebody is always coming over to play a game every day. And everyone benefits. I got to just sit with her and learn her favorite game for a few minutes, and I had the best time and had ordered it on Amazon by the time I got home, and my family played it all weekend. So we can always learn something new. We we need to appreciate the contributions of older adults in our lives, both in our families and our workplaces.
Yeah, I think, it is a societal change. If you look at the way we portray old people in movies
It's
and
so
on
ingrained,
yes,
but
and
there is
it's and
hope.
and not only ingrained, but accepted.
Right. I do have hope, and there was just an article either in the Washington Post or New York Times about how the entertainment industry is being more age positive. I mean, look at Jamie Lee Curtis and Jodie Foster and people that are really still appreciated and recognized for their contributions. So I see a shift. And,
Or like when Cher accepted an award and she walked up on stage and she looks at the audience, she goes, "Yeah, 74 years old, and I can still do a 15-minute plank." I mean, I love that.
yep, yep, age is
That
just a number.
it really truly is, and we should want and, as much as it's the right thing to do, Stephanie, and the work that you do, and you and I could talk about this all day because I get very passionate about it because I've experienced it. When I was at VOA and I went into the Marie Smith Center and I sat at a table and I just heard the stories.
Yep.
There was a lady there who sat at the table. She's in her 90s and she was a jazz singer, and she came to Portland and sang in the jazz clubs and she loved it. And that's how
Yep.
she ended up here. And
Yeah.
just hearing the stories of, Portland in the force and when she was it was fascinating. I was like, what a gift. What a
We
gift I just got to be able to have this experience.
Oh, absolutely. We were doing a community conversation gathering in Ontario, Oregon, and the folks at the
Oh, I lost you for a minute, Steph.
no, I just,
Oh,
there was some feedback, so I was waiting.
oh,
So it sounds like there's a vacuum.
it's okay now.
Okay.
Yep,
So
we're good now.
what's really exciting and just a great example of that, Tim, is we were doing a community conversation on aging in Ontario. All in the community, older adults, what do you wish your community had that it doesn't have right now? And, one of the big things was just and have some joy.
Yeah, I think that, all of that is just so incredible that it it's incredible to me that we're having this conversation.
But it's necessary. I mean, especially when you have the intersectionality of, ageism and racism, we
Yep.
we have to address both. It's a journey that I don't think we ever get to the finish line, but I hope we do. And but really, it's even more detrimental when you have that intersection of age, race, socioeconomic status, gender, and so if we work on solutions that work for those communities and those intersectionalities, we'll do better for everyone.
Well, based on the demographic shift and the cliff that's coming in less than 10 years, we have no choice. So we've kicked the can down the road long enough. Now it's time to take action. So for the listeners out there, it's time to take action. People who are running tech companies, it's time to take action. And because it's something we're going to be faced with, and we need to address it today, and we're all going to get there. So you can count us in,
Thank
and I'm
you.
really looking forward to the leadership exchange. I know that we can help promote it. I know that we can get people involved in it. So count us in and count me in because I'm a huge fan of the work and what you're doing. Um, but how and what locally and at this level, and for the people listening in to Techlandia, uh, how can they help older adults directly?
Well, there's a few ways. One is to get involved with Shared Future Oregon. Bring your company's logo as a supporter to show momentum to elected officials that this is a priority. We can create this plan if we have the governor do an executive legislature passed a bill to make this a true public and private partnership. So those are things that they can do by using their influence. We have our Ageless Awards coming up in April 17th. It's our People can come to that event, experience the work of Age Plus, be incredibly inspired, either online or in person, and to contribute. We'll make it easy. You can Ageless, AGELESS, to 44321, and you can put a financial contribution because this work is ongoing. It takes innovation, and it really allows us to be nimble and be a catalyst to change the narrative around aging in Oregon.
Well, listen, I'm a fan. I'm going to be at the awards. I'm honored, and a friend and a person, a mentor of mine, Kate Turan, is going to be honored, and I'm very excited about that, and I'm very excited to go support her. So that is great, and I'm going to tell the audience, don't forget, text ageless, AGELESS, to 44321. And it's an easy way to get you started on supporting this really important um, opportunity. I'm going to call it an opportunity. It's an
It is.
opportunity. This is an opportunity to get involved and to change the last ageism or ism, the last ism
Mhm.
uh, that we need to address as a society so that we can be a richer, fuller society. And when you hear those jokes, you know, just don't laugh. And if you're going to buy somebody a birthday card, don't buy them one that's empowering. Yeah, let's empower each other as we get older and not handicap each other.
One thing at a time, one step at a time.
Well, Stephanie, I look forward to seeing you at the Ageless Awards. I can't thank you enough for being a guest on the show. I love the work you're doing. And again, count us in. And I'm looking forward to seeing all the great work that you do. So
Thank
thank
you,
you
Tim.
so much for being on the show.
It's great to have you and Skip and TAO as champions. We appreciate it.
All right. Well, take care.
Bye bye.